Hello out there in YouTube land.
Welcome back to our channel.
Today, since we're in this kind of funky layout, we thought it'd be the perfect time to talk about a movie that neither Tabby and I enjoyed very much.
No, in fact, I actually turned it off in the middle of it.
I made it all the way through it. I'm not exactly sure how.
I got bored and said, screw it, and turned it off. So,
Yeah. So, to not lead anybody down a what the hell movie are they talking about thing, we're talking about Hereditary. Now, I don't know about you, but I had a ton of people saying that this was an amazing horror film and you should totally see it. And I was excited by the whole thing that happened in Australia with the movie where somebody had accidentally or deliberately, still not sure 100% which, put the trailer for it before the Peter Rabbit movie and scared a whole bunch of kids with the trailer.
Which amuses us when things like that.
Greatly. So that's probably the best thing about the movie, totally. Truthfully. But it's not a good film.
No, it's not. To me, the trailer made it look like it had a lot of promise. And like you, I heard, so many good reviews about it. And it just fell flat. Completely flat for me.
And my big issue with it is that when someone has caused vehicular manslaughter, essentially, with someone, right, they are going to be investigated by the police. There's going to be a giant court case. There's going to be question whether there's punishment. When the elder brother had gone to a party and smoked a whole bunch of marijuana and gotten drunk and then driven with his little sister and knocked her head off with a telephone pole, he'd be in jail.
He would be. And that was a huge sticking point with this movie.
Yeah.
It was unrealistic.
The fact that, there's this whatever the heck cult and all that other stuff, and he's some sort of like new Lucifer / Messiah, whatever the hell you want to call it. The fact that no matter what, a big accident like that would have had notice about it. It would have been in newspapers and stuff. We are far beyond the time when things like that could have been hidden. There's too much social media.
Right. There's way too much social media. There's just, again, there's that realism that was missing from it.
And, I could understand if it was supposed to be like an alternate reality where, there weren't cell phones and things, except they had cell phones.
Yeah.
So, if it was something like, if it was like based in like the 1980s or something, okay, believable. If it was just that there was, this alternate reality where nobody had video conferencing, nobody had anything, okay, believable. But the fact that it was based now, essentially, like it was made a few years ago, but still, there still would have been word about the fact that this guy drove down the road and knocked his sister's head off.
Yeah, you kind of,
That's kind of a headline.
That's a headliner, not to...
And,
not to have any there, but,
besides the fact that the entire, like, cult thing and stuff entered into some of the realms of ridiculousness at times, I could let that go, but the part about, like, this kid, like, kills his sister, then leaves the car in the driveway
for mom
with her body in the car all night long.
In some way, I can see that as, it was portrayed as shock, and you can kind of get behind that.
Right. But the fact that, like, I don't know about you, but if I would have had a sibling and I would have done that and would have come home and left a body in the car, my parents would have epically flipped the fuck out on me. It wouldn't have mattered how much PTSD, how much shock.
Matter?
Yeah. Like, What
First
the
off,
fuck
we wouldn't
did
have
you
left the
do?
body
You
in a car.
got fucked up and you killed your sister. That's something that would have happened.
Especially with you decapitated your sister.
Yeah.
That's not an oops moment.
That's not even just like you're in a car accident. He fucking ripped her head off.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, okay.
And how people can't consider that ridiculous is beyond me. I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't know. That, you know, the fact that, you know, this is a kind of what sets the plot of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You already started with something that isn't really believable, and that kind of shadows everything that you're going through with the movie, like the seance, everything else.
Exactly. And, you know, outside of that, we also had a movie with this film that has another irritating as hell kid. And the constant, oh my God. I understand that, you know, people have like Tourette's syndrome and things like that, but that got to me.
It drove me a little batty.
And, you know, I feel for people that have Tourette's and have tics and stuff. And I feel for, you know, parents that have children that have a variety of different medical conditions and neurological conditions that can cause these things. However, in a film, she was the kid was basically portrayed as just an irritating kid, though. It wasn't that she was described as having any medical condition or anything like that. The mother sent the kid along to this party, which was also another sticking point. The mother knew this was a party.
Right.
I don't know any parent that would send their 13-year-old child to a known party where there's known to be, you know, alcohol or whatever with a whole bunch of, like, you know, seniors in high school. I don't see that remotely believable.
I don't. And that was the thing. If she hadn't known per se that, you know, Peter was going to a party and it was, you know, he was just kind of lying to go to a school event, and then I could see where, you know, oh, we'll take your sister out with you. But even then, you know, 13-year-old at a school event for a much older child, I don't see that as particularly believable.
No, and everybody knows what they did in high school. Yes. I don't think becoming a parent makes you forget what you did in high school.
I think it would make you more aware of what your kids are going to school in high school.
You know, and so it'd be more along the lines of, okay, the young little sister begs to go to this thing, you'd be like, no, you're staying home.
Right. And as for, you know, in general, the overall, I guess, the parts that I missed, I got bored with it, so I cut it off.
And, you know, for me, basically what happens the rest of the film is that, like, they cut from the death and the mother finding out that there's the body in the car to, like, this giant progression where she ends up running into these people that are members of the cult.
Right.
Throughout, like, this whole, like, history thing or whatever. It didn't make a lot of sense. At the end of the movie, like, and gradually other people start dying. Like, you know, like, the mom and the dad, like, get in these horrible arguments. The dad threatens to kill the older son, and, like, weird things happen, and this, that, and the other thing. And then at the end of the movie, like, everybody that was part of the cult is worshiping the boy who has now become possessed to be the new bringer of something or other on Earth. Yeah. It was not, no.
A hot mess.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and, you know, I guess some people, like, really loved it because it was different or something. But for me, a different film needs to be backed up with a solid plot.
Right.
And if you're going to go along the lines of, you know, I'll harken back to one of my favorite like genres in film, which is like the late 70s, early 80s Italian gore films. When you have like movies that don't make any bloody sense at all, you at least have to have things in the movie that elicit an emotional response that will keep you going and keep you interested to what's going on screen.
Right.
And you had to turn this thing off because you couldn't stand it anymore. So to me, that totally negates the argument for, well, it doesn't make any sense, but the director, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. So that's kind of our thoughts on Hereditary. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, if you loved it, what did you love about it? Tell us why we're wrong for being upset that he wasn't arrested or anything, because that's a big issue to me. I mean, it took place in the U.S., so, and his parents weren't like, you know, in any position to be able to say, well, my child has diplomatic immunity or anything. So that's a big problem.
Right. So let us know.
Yeah, we would like to know. So at any rate, we hope you enjoyed our review of Hereditary. And until next time, bye.
Bye.